Hello, Gemini. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Jen with Bohemian Path Tarot, and we're going to do a year ahead 2024 Celtic Cross reading today. And I am using the Star Seekers Tarot. I found this on Etsy, and I don't get any kickback for mentioning that. I think it's handy to know. It's a very pretty deck. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on your energies, focus on, you know, what's coming ahead for you. Ooh, Ace of Wands. We'll keep that in mind. But I'm going to go ahead and focus and shuffle, and I'll see you on the other side of the shuffle. Okay, Gemini, we're all shuffled. Now let's lay out your Celtic cross. So we start with the Queen of Swords, which is a very Gemini energy. And in the challenge position is the Hanged One. Beneath you, the Two of Wands. Behind you, Knight of Cups. Ahead of you, Three of Cups. Seven of Swords. This is kind of the advice. Is the Queen of Pentacles. The Three of Wands is in your environment. The Four of Pentacles is in your hopes and fears. And finally, the Two of Swords. Interesting. I might pull a clarifier, or we might just remember the Ace of Wands as the clarifier up here. So first we'll go through one by one, and we'll explore the energies of the individual cards, and then we'll do a summary at the end of this story of this reading. So we start with the Queen of Swords, who is a charming, social person. She is someone who can be talkative, who's curious about other people, so she's can be very social, but also can be a bit discerning, can be a little bit blunt, or maybe too honest sometimes. And in the challenge position, we have the Hanged One, which feels like a sort of suspension. It feels like a waiting time where you're just kind of waiting for something to happen. There's an epiphany or an idea or a plot point shift that needs to happen. And we're finding this queen at the place where this epiphany is just about to happen. And it feels like that big idea or that big decision is what the rest of this kind of depends on. In the kind of more distant past, the Two of Wands indicates a time when you're trying to build something new, when you have excitement, passion, energy for something, but it is taking more passion than it is showing results. It's the kind of thing where you're putting a lot of, or you have put a lot of kind of your heart into it, but it's not yet really flourished or blossomed the way you hoped. In the past, we have the Knight of Cups. The Knight is, I interpret the Knight more, instead of a person, more of a time for you to take action. So it looks like with the Knight of Cups, there was a phase where you were really trying to be proactive with your relationships, either with other people or with the divine. You know, this could be either personal relationships, romantic relationships, relationships with your kids or spouse or parents, but it could also be your relationship with like your guides or God, or however you understand that. And this is an influence that still kind of carries through into the near future, the general atmosphere for the future, we have the Three of Cups, which is very much a celebratory card. I don't know if you can, there's a bit of a glare. Let's see. There we go. Which is the celebratory card, which makes total sense at this time of year. You may be um, going to a lot of parties or had some people over or planning a big do for New Year's, something like that. But whatever this kind of work or action or involvement in personal relationships is kind of carried through into the sharing the joy, sharing the New Year, sharing the holiday with friends and loved ones. Um, for those people who are looking for like a romantic relationship or are wondering about that, um, this looks like something that may have started, um, kind of finds more of an easy flow, or it could be that you meet somebody at a party, like a New Year's party or friends to do whatever. Now, over here we have the Seven of Swords, which is a card. Some tarot readers read it as deceit or deception or trickery. I always see the Seven of Swords as getting a leg up on your competition. It's the kind of thing where if you're looking for a job and you have a friend on the inside um, that tells you they're hiring for this or this is coming up, and you can be the first one to get your resume in, you know, you've kind of beat your competition to the starting gate. Um, it's not necessarily deceit, but it does indicate a time when you have a little bit of information or insider knowledge, or you've just been doing really good research and you've recognized the trends and you know when it's time for you to take action or submit a resume or make a social media post about something. It's going to be different for different people, right? But it has to do with getting ahead of the competition, and something, either information or communication, social media, um, emails, uh, something of that nature. Your YouTube channel, even, could be something like that. Now, in the position that I interpret as like your advice or what to think about, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So I think that's a sign for you to follow, you know, the the path that leads you to stability, to comfort, to self possession. The Queen of Pentacles is a character um, who, and I'm using, I try not to use gender specific pronouns, but whoever this is, I do interpret queens and kings as people and pages and knights as actions or reflections. So the Queen of Pentacles could be an actual person in your life who kind of models like self possession or self comfort, being comfortable in your own skin. Like for some people, this might be a phase where you like give up bras or makeup or something like that. That's a very specific example, but it's just about letting go of sort of artifice and just being comfortable in who you are and being comfortable in your own skin. And again, that could be someone specific modeling that behavior for you, or it could be you moving from this more sort of um, social and uh, um, information sharing phase into more of a kind of living in your own self, um, living in your own comfortable surroundings, being comfortable in your own skin. So in the environment, we have the Three of Wands, which is, comes after the Two of Wands. So it indicates that something that you're working on or something that you're passionate about is moving forward. This is kind of a card of, let's take this out, kind of a card of, well, it doesn't really look so much like it here in this version. Um, but this character is moving out towards something new. I typically interpret the Three of Wands as a card of, you know, your ships are coming in while you're sending more out. That's a metaphor. You don't necessarily need to have any boats. Just the sort of thing where you experience sort of the first harvest, the first recognition. You get your first clients, or I don't know, you get enough followers on YouTube so you can do the next thing or whatever. Instagram. I'm not a social media genius, but it's a phase where you get recognition that inspires you to take this passion project or whatever you're putting your heart and soul into, to keep moving forward and to keep moving towards the next phase, the next level. In the hopes and fears category is the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Four of Pentacles is a card that indicates a sort of a fear of losing out in terms of resources, and it could be the kind of thing where you're looking at, just as one example, if you have a home-based business and you can invest more in stock or the materials you need to do whatever your craft is, or to just hold firm, it's kind of the impulse to hold on to what you have instead of branching out. And I would say that is a fear. There's a fear that's keeping you smaller when you're actually experiencing a time of advancement and growth. So there's actually a good time here to, instead of being like stingy or fearful about what you're building or what you're trying to work for, to let it blossom, to look at ways, and you can still be frugal doing it. It isn't like, investing in a whole new office space or something if you don't really have the funds for that. But there are ways that you can evolve your business or your passion project, or feel more secure. Again, this is the kind of lesson here. Feel more secure in what you have and what you're building, and not be afraid that it's not enough, or you're not earning fast enough, or you're not, or you could lose everything. That's just a fear. In the final position, we have the Two of Swords, which is a tricky card to have in the last spot as the outcome, because it does indicate a time when you're pulled in a couple of directions, when you have a strong decision to make, and maybe not a great option either way, or an obvious better choice. It's just kind of being torn in a couple of different, between a couple of different paths, or if it's the relationship thing, it could be a couple of different people, or that feeling of, do I want to move forward with this person, or is it time to cut ties, or that kind of place of needing to make a decision and not having an obvious choice. I would say with the Ace of Wands that we had as a jumper when I was shuffling, indicates following your passion and a new chapter of passion. We also have the Queen of Pentacles in your advice area. That's about comfort. It's about being secure in who you are and making choices that support that comfort, that sensual stability. Let's see. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck and now we have the Queen of Cups, and she is also a character who is confident in her emotions, in her connections with other people, her connections with the divine, like any way that she shares herself with other people. And again, we have this kind of sharing piece, sharing your brand over here. So whatever decision you have to make, we're very much getting the advice to follow your heart, to follow your passion, to follow what's like the most earthy, kind of stable version or pathway for you to follow. I hope that reverberates with you. Where this is happening can be different for different folks. Obviously, this is a general reading. If you're interested in sharing where this hits for you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. But in any case, I hope this gives you some comfort, some clarity, some enthusiasm for the new year, because we're seeing movement and we're seeing evolution, and I love that for you. Gemini, thank you so much for stopping by. Happy New Year.